Kaifala has come in a very big way, and he has given a whole lot of strength in the fight against corruption, and he has made it quite visible as well. And he has come up with new ideas, not only to send people to jail, but also to make them pay back money to the state, which to us is a way of introducing a new component in the fight against corruption.
I would say it's foundation laying. He's done well. It is very difficult to assess him right now. What one can say is he's moving in the right direction. He's set the right tone. The challenge is sustaining that pace. The challenge is maintaining his integrity and his courage.
We want to, on behalf of Campaign for Good Governance, extend congratulatory messages to him as he goes through 1 year in office. Fighting corruption the world over is really a very challenging task, and we want to doff our hats to him for the dynamism he's brought into the fight. One of the things we find useful with Francis Ben Kaifala Esquire is that he has taken the challenge as a personal challenge.
He's a young man that I admire a lot, because to be able to fight corruption, you have to be someone with the guts to fight it. And I think the current Commissioner Ben Kaifala has the gut to fight corruption. So I admire him a lot. I believe he's doing extremely well, and we are seeing results.
I see him as a very determined and serious young man who is committed to the crusade of fighting corruption, which we have all accepted as a serious problem undermining the political development, socio-economic activities in Sierra Leone. And as a matter of fact, he's a young man, and I think he's making himself a role model in such a process. In terms of his approach, by way of having what we call mass mobilization, is quite impressive.
ACC is limited in personnel, is limited in resources. Public Education Department is limited in personnel. What we are doing here today is more than just signing a pact. It is an extension of the staffing of the ACC to include the hundreds of men and women working in civil society.
So I am with the view that Mr. Kaifala is one of the persons perhaps chosen by the president within this short period to serve the purpose of change that is actually accelerating or facilitating both behavioral and social change.
Well, I first of all have to thank the president for appointing me to lead the fight against corruption, and also thank the commission whose staff actually welcomed me and bought into my vision to lead the fight. My impression is that the fight against corruption, winning it is not as difficult as it has been projected. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes consistency over a period of time, a minimum of 2 to 3 years, for the population to really react to the drive of the commission and the presidency. But it is a winnable fight, and my impressions are that with the commitment and dedication that is being shown by the staff of the Anti-Corruption Commission and the political will that is coming from the top, and the courage that I and the Deputy Commissioner have to lead the fight against corruption, it is definitely winnable and corruption can be controlled.
The issue of corruption requires what we say or call walk the talk, in which case it should be seen in you. And if you are messaging also, you are equal to the message. So meaning he himself, I have not seen or heard people pointing fingers at him in terms of compromising. And then he's not actually interested in this color theory in Sierra Leone. So I believe what he's doing is in the right direction, and I believe he must be encouraged and supported enough so that he can achieve those objectives he has in mind.
We need to do a lot of work on prevention. They say an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of enforcement. We are getting the citizens to understand that this is zero tolerance to corruption because there cannot be progress without integrity. But once we have done that and we have succeeded within 1 year to capture the attention of the population to really understand that this time is different, now what we can do to solidify those gains is the prevention drive, which now makes sure that incidences, opportunities for corruption are minimized across the board in MDAs, in public service, and of course within the general population. So prevention is where we should head, whilst we do not forget enforcement and public education to go with it.
In fighting corruption, you must show the society that they should not celebrate corrupt people and corrupt practices, while you are at the same time creating awareness for people not to do the same thing. So what we've seen him doing now, the current commissioner, is saying, well, let me show you what is wrong. And so when corrupt people are called in, or alleged people who have misappropriated funds, we've seen evidence that he's gone after them, he's negotiated with them, and in some cases, some have gone for prosecution. So his approach so far has been good. My caution to him, and this I say publicly, don't over-negotiate settlements too quickly, because in some cases that is becoming a concern now. Otherwise, he will inadvertently send a message that you can always negotiate your way out.
For us at Campaign for Good Governance, we also welcome this issue of recovery. Because as I say, the cost of corruption is huge. And so we need to showcase aspects of what corruptly acquired money can do. So that, people learn with evidence. It's only fools that deny proofs. People learn with evidence. So when you bring the evidence that we have been able to recover X amount of money, and this is the evidence with a vaccination center, for example, or this is the evidence of a model school, for example, or a technical outfit, then you begin to put citizens' mind in a position to understand that, yes, corruptly acquired money could have been for the betterment of the state.
When we started this fight against corruption during the days of Tijan Kaba, it was all us relying on the police as the people who would arrest you and charge you for corrupt practices. But we have benefited a little bit more. Now we went up to the point that by looking at the act itself, improving on the act, and now we are also improving on the various aspects of legislation. And I think that with that in mind, there is always a way, an opportunity for us to continue to address the issues of corruption.
On the bill in Parliament, I can assure you that we have worked on it. In fact, it had gone through the second reading. It had gone through the committee stage. There have been a lot of discussions between Parliament and anti-corruption and other parties that are affected by that particular bill, like the National Public Procurement Authority. We are also discussing with the Ministry of Finance. So a lot of discussions have been going on between Parliament and those institutions and the Anti-Corruption Commission on the way forward for the bill. Well, I can assure you that as a Parliament and as a leader, it's a bill that I personally believe is in the interest of the country, and I believe it's a bill that will help in the fight against corruption.
I think that what we are doing is really rigging the fight against corruption itself in a positive way. These things, the amendment, the kinds of provisions that are in that amendment, when they are eventually passed by Parliament, it is going to be a deterrent by itself. You will have to think twice to engage in corruption. For us to have a dedicated court with dedicated judges to sit there to deal with corruption cases so they can move faster, speedier, and more accurately for the good of the country, so that cases no longer last for 1, 2, 3 years as used to be. These are all things that are positively going to impact the fight against corruption. And I have a lot of hopes for the future of this country. I have a lot of hope for where we are going, and we'll get there. The idea is we are going to make corruption a high-risk, low-return venture for the country. So it will be very risky for anybody to embark into it, but also you will not gain much from it, even if you do. So either way, you lose. will make you bankrupt, will send you to prison, and will make sure that society also sees you as a corrupt person as you are.
The Anti-Corruption Commission is moving now towards institutionalizing the fight against corruption, meaning that there is the commission, but now they're creating a legal structure to pursue corruption cases. So that is commendable that the effort is being made now to institutionalize the processes, but also expedite the consideration of cases. What again I will emphasize here, the neutrality, fairness, and credibility of those institutions. That is crucial. You can create the best institution, but if it is not neutral, if it is not fair, it becomes a political instrument, then it kills the whole process.
Congratulations, Francis Ben Kaifala. The challenge is enormous. Keep on the fight. It's really gaining momentum, and we only call on His Excellency the President, because he has to take the lead to support the Anti-Corruption Commissioner to have the space to do this. So it's really gaining traction, and we only hope it will be sustained.
From our own side here, the APC sees itself as one of the harbingers, the people who contributed to the creation of the Anti-Corruption Commission. We're very proud that it is still alive, and we're also proud that Ben Kaifala too is doing very, very well. And we can only say from our own side here that we'll continue to wish him well, and he should rely on our support as well.
I will say stay the course, be fair, be just. Posterity will judge him too. He's a young commissioner. He's shown dynamism. My guidance to him in whatever he does, fairness, justice, courage, and believe in the power of the Almighty.
I want to first of all congratulate him. I was at State House when he presented a 7.5 billion check to the president. I was invited for that particular program. And I believe this is the first time we have had a kind of recovery. In just 1 year, I think almost $2 million. I believe that is a huge amount of money. And if we continue in that direction, Sierra Leone is going to be another Singapore, I can assure you. Because all we need in this country at the moment is a fight against corruption. We ensure that we reduce corruption activities across the country, and then use the available resources in the interest of the people of this country. As long as that is done, we'll have a better Sierra Leone. And I really want to congratulate Ben Kaifala and his team, because it's not just about him. Like he said at State House in the ceremony at State House, that he has a team. It is the committed team that he has. That's why we are having all of these positive results. Okay. So yes, I say thank you to the entire team at the Anti-Corruption Commission.
He just have to be steadfast. Okay. You know, Mr. Commissioner needs to be steadfast. Okay. Mr. Commissioner needs to be thorough. Mr. Commissioner needs to be aggressive. Okay. And Mr. Commissioner needs to be diplomatic.
All I can tell the people of Sierra Leone is for us to understand that we have suffered. This country has suffered. We have no excuse for where we are. Of course, we should be far ahead in terms of progress, in terms of development, in terms of socio-economic transformation. This is the time for us to join the fight against corruption, because the biggest inhibitor of our progress is corruption. That is why we are calling on all of them, the people of Sierra Leone. I am calling you now as your son, your brother, to join us at the ACC to tackle the menace of corruption. Support us. We are humans. We make mistakes. When we make mistakes, understand that we are humans. But generally, we are working towards the general good of the people of Sierra Leone. And there can be no better time for us to go through corruption than now. Join us. Let us win this together.